to not speak about death is, it's so absurd. And I don't know when we will grow more comfortable with that conversation. It seems like it's got to be soon as the world continues to wake up. There's so many beautiful cultures that revere death in a really way more interesting way than just like, oh God, it's scary and sticky, put it in a box in the ground. Like, let's not talk about it except on the day that the person died.
Dying of laughter.
It's not funny.
My mom has stage 4 cancer in her bones and in her breast. My dad's disease was 15 years, he died of ALS. I made a podcast about death, seemed like the thing to do. And if you're sad by all of this, well, you're gonna die too.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Wow, I am still so new to this journey, but I am really overwhelmed and inspired by the people in my life who have reached out to me this week, opening up about their own grief journeys. And I actually have to say I'm pretty fascinated by this. This is kind of like an interesting humanity experiment. I had no idea how many people in my life had lost someone, and people opening up about their moms, their dads, their brothers, their sisters, their grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. Now I'm just listing family members. You're like, okay, I know what a family is. I think I did this in the last episode too. So if you don't know anyone that has lost someone, this is my little reminder that there probably is someone in your life who perhaps hasn't opened up about it to you. And it's been a little bit emotional for me in terms of holding this space for everyone, just hoping that I'm saying the right thing and hoping that I'm able to get back to everyone, promptly. And it's not like bajillions of people or anything. This is a brand new podcast. There's not like thousands of people or anything by any means. This is brand new. So if you are listening right now, it's kind of cool. You're one of a select starter group that was here from the beginning, which is so meaningful to me. So personally, I thank you for that. But just, wow, man, people have gone through some shit. Like, it's just people have gone through some shit. And I also just wanted to take a quick moment to remind anyone out there who perhaps is not as open or doesn't feel like they're in a place that they want to talk as openly about grief or illness than perhaps me, then that is completely okay. And some people I think have had some shame around, oh, I actually have experienced this loss, but it's not as bad as yours. So, no worries. And I don't have to, go into details. And it's like, no, there's no comparing here. Everyone has been through something, whether it's grief or not, but, there's no comparing here. There's so much respect for everyone's journey, and for people that aren't as open about it right now or at all, that is completely okay. This stuff is personal. This stuff is private. There's no shame at all around keeping it closer to your chest. I would just encourage you to perhaps open up to a friend about your experience, if not the rest of the world. That is not necessary, but perhaps opening up to a friend about what you're going through, or even journaling about your experience. Maybe this weekend, that's something you could do. So I hope you do. And quick reminder, Judy Carter has an awesome comedy workshop this Sunday, the 26th in Burbank, California. If you happen to be in town, she updated her book, The New Comedy Bible. It is the best book for any comedian, new, starting out, advanced, been around the block, just talking about how to write jokes, how to be funnier, how to monetize gigs. It's fantastic. I really believe in it. She's one of the funniest people that I know. She's been paid to travel the world as a comedian for decades. I would not mention something if I didn't believe in it. And a reminder, I am giving away a free ticket. Costs $25 if you don't win. It includes a glass of champagne, a copy of a book that she signs, and you're participating in the workshop 12 to 3 this Sunday. Y'all, it's pretty groovy. And some quick love to our reviewer of the week. It's called You'd Think Someone Died in Here. As a child, I grew up going to funerals from as far back as I can remember. I can remember clearly walking into a funeral home and hearing my mom whisper to me, "You'd think someone died in here." Ha! I like your mom. Death, my parents taught me, was a part of life. That may seem trite and simplistic, but it's true. Somewhere along the way, many people seem to not understand this, but thankfully Chelsea seems to breathe this truth and make it part of who she is and how she lives. As a result, we can be blessed with the gift of her sense of humor, combined with the perspective that comes from walking in the dark hallways where death sits, waiting for us all. Instead of taboo, Chelsea treats the inevitability of death with an amazing balance of gentleness and hilarity. My mom often said, we don't need to find more reasons to cry. Life gives us plenty of those. We need to look for more reasons to laugh. Here, you'll find many reasons to laugh. Tim. That is from Tim the Fool Man. Tim! Come on, Tim. Come on, Tim. How well spoken is he? I mean, come on. Like, that was the nicest thing I've ever read. Your mom rocks. Or rocked. Assuming she's no longer here. See, I went there, you guys. I went there. Are we okay? Are you okay? Is it too early for stuff like that? I don't know, but I'm leaving it. There's something wrong with me.
Yes.
Yay, Brooke. So we're so happy to have you. Not only is Brooke a good friend of mine, she's a fabulous human being who's not just in front of the camera. She's also an activist, an advocate for many things, which would you consider yourself an activist?
Activist! That is so lame and awesome all at once. I love it. Yes, I'm an activist. Me, Leo, Sean Penn.
Okay, great. Well, I love to start all of my interviews off with a goldfish moment.
Okay.
And by that I mean, do you remember the first moment in your life where you recalled what death was or what it meant to you? Goldfish moment. Did your goldfish die? Goldfish moment. Did it make you cry? For some, it was a goldfish.
Oh, wow. I see what you're saying. Okay, cool. I always contemplated death. I think I have like paranoia embedded into me a little bit. I remember being younger and being super scared that the ceiling above me was going to come crashing down and kill everyone. And I had that thought kind of like a lot being younger. And I cried about it one time and I told my mom and she was like, you're kind of fucked up as for a child. But that was probably like my first realization of or memory of, yes, life ends. There's fear around it.
So did you think the ceiling would fall down on you at any point? It was just something that could happen whenever.
Totally random and totally like imaginative. I had no point of reference for that. So I just came up with that, or I don't know, maybe that was some past life shit. Maybe I died in a crushing ceiling in a past life. And baby Brooke was like, fuck, beware. But modern architecture is like, it's chill. You're safe.
Did your mom have any words of wisdom or thoughts around this ceiling crashing scenario?
You know, my mom was actually the seed. She planted the seed in me for my spiritual foundation, and I'm very grateful. Neither of my parents were pressing religiously in any way, and my mom would just say, all I know is that you have a soul and it goes on forever. And I don't know where it goes, but it just goes on. I was able to create the story around that as to what I thought that meant.
That's really powerful and cool that your mom said that to you.
It's also very simple, like for a young mind, because I heard that when I was quite young. So for my baby brain to be like, nothing's definite, nothing's too complicated, everything's just gonna be okay.
Well, since you're such a spiritual person, you're connected to, at least for me, you were one of the first people that I met in young adulthood who really had this strong foundation and sense of who she was and connection to her spirituality and yoga in a way that was fun and funny and serious. And could you talk about how you got there? Were you always interested in yoga and spirituality? Did it come to you later on?
This is so fun, by the way. I don't think I've really asked myself these questions in a long time. I was always very interested in weird shit as a kid. I think it's like old soul-ism with a combination of likely outside forces from my parents without even knowing it. But I was always really into Wicca from a young age, like a really young age, which is witchcraft. I was
going to say,
I was also just really into Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And I think that was probably, I was like, I want to be Melissa Joan Hart. I want my cat to talk to me like I'm a witch. So I still have some of the books, like The Basics of Wicca and like really cute kid books about being a baby witch. And then that curiosity led me to Buddhism. So I was always just interested in like compassionate philosophy, caring outside of myself. That was somewhat innate. My mom's a bit of a Snow White character, so she's very maternal. There could be some impact there. But yeah, I've just always been interested in, like, a natural interest in the evolution of my experience, I guess. I think it was after my brother passed. Yeah, my brother died, and then I was like, oh shit, this stuff is so real. This is not like a basic to Wicca book. There are spirits in every corner of your room, and they've been here the whole time. And when he passed away, like, coupled with my mom's perspective on you have a soul, it goes on forever. I also have an aunt who's a medium who speaks to the dead.
You do?
Yeah. But right when my brother passed away, we were in Arizona. All of our family was on the East Coast except for her. And I hadn't talked to her in, like, since I was a kid. I hardly remembered her. She'd been out of my life for most of it. And she was the first one to reach us when my brother passed because she was in Northern California. So she was able to get there right away. I was like 13, 14, like, what the fuck is going on? And then my other aunt is like, come into the garage. I'm going to talk to your brother for you. And I was like...
Once he died, she was going to talk to him for you? Oh,
yeah,
my God.
like the day I found out he died, the next day. So we went into the garage, and she had very special things. She, like, wanted it kind of darkly lit and needed all the doors closed and no extra light. And we sat on the couch, and she read for me. She didn't really know my brother and I, and just what she shared with me was, like, it was so fantastical. It was absurd. It was so spot on. She shared with me songs that my brother had a relationship with, like, very current though, like how she would know it's damn near impossible. She had messages for some of my brother's friends, and just comments about, like, how I had been behaving since hearing he had died, and, like, in private. She was, like, talking about what I was wearing in private. Essentially, I was wearing one of my brother's big sweatshirts, and when I was alone, like when I had slept at night, and she was like, for some reason I'm seeing an image of you wearing something really big, and your brother's picking up from the shoulders, like drawing angel wings from your shoulders, like whatever you're wearing has angel wings on it. And I was like, oh shit, that's his sweatshirt. But yeah, after that I was like, oh fuck, magic's real. And death is just the beginning of something that, like, we don't understand.
So she picked up on what you were wearing or feeling without being there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
And she was, like, singing songs. She was singing this Frank Sinatra song, Willow Weep for me. My brother was really into Sinatra, and that's a really sad Sinatra song. Super cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up and how you got to be who you are, spending time with your family, and then what it was like when he died?
You have such a beautiful voice, by the way. It sounds so nice in my headphones.
Oh, good.
I love it.
Well, there's not really a great way to ask these questions, but I'm sending love with all of it.
I know you are.
I know.
Dude, you're a beautiful channel. You're like, this is therapy. I actually thought that on the way over. I was like, you're probably going to cry, and it's probably going to be great.
Everyone cries. I cry. All of the guests cry. So, yeah.
Okay, good.
Fair.
To be expected then.
Yes.
So I was born in Buffalo, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, my dad, my brother, and I, really close with all of our cousins and stuff. Then when I was 9, we moved to Virginia. We were in Richmond. Then we moved to Arizona. Arizona was where I spent middle school and high school. And then we were moving to Pittsburgh. We were going to do another move.
Did your dad's job move you guys around a lot?
Yeah, he changed his job. He's in marketing. He worked for corporate offices, which are placed all around the country. So he just followed the next thing. Climbing the corporate ladder, I don't recommend it. So he moved to Pittsburgh, and he was already there, and we had sold the house, and it was like our last week there that my brother went camping with his friends and died. It was like, ooh, bad timing. So, yeah. So,
how old were you at the time?
I was 14. I was a freshman in high school, and he was 17, going to be a senior at our new high school, which is just like shitty. No offense, parents, but like, come on. But at the time, we didn't mind really that we were moving. I think we had kind of grown used to it, not in like a bad way. It was just kind of like, all right, like we're going somewhere else. Let's do it. We were young enough where it didn't seem to matter that much. But yeah, that's when he passed. And then we still moved to Pittsburgh. We had to pack up our house because we had sold our house in Arizona. It was quite frankly crazy. I really, really empathize with my parents for just getting us through that experience. Like, I know I was enduring my own shit, but the death of a child is just like, it is different. It is different than me losing my brother, as hard as that is, as is losing your dad. Like, totally different experience. But yeah, we moved to Pittsburgh. And then I had to start school like a few weeks later with new kids. They were like, hey, like the new girl, what's your name? Where are you from? Like, tell us about you. And I'm like, hi, I'm Brooke. My brother died 2 weeks ago. Don't really want to make friends right now.
Oh my gosh. Brooke, that is really challenging.
Yeah, it's so traumatic. I'm sure there's stuff buried deep within me that has yet to be revealed. But just one more ayahuasca ceremony away before I crack that.
Did you share with people that you just met, or did you choose not to tell them?
Frankly, that period in my life, which I think is pretty common, it's very blurry. Like, the memories are kind of sloppy. But I did tell people, I'm sure, to a degree. I remember, like, just not wanting to talk to people. I was really depressed. And that's totally, I like totally understand myself for that. I was super sad, of course, and had a hard time making friends, which was like the first time. And I remember like my first week of school eating lunch in a bathroom stall, in the bathroom, like calling my mom on the phone, like Mean Girls when Lindsay Lohan is new to school and she eats food in the bathroom. And then eventually my mom set me up with like our neighbor, Lauren. She was very sweet. My neighbor friend just took me under her wing, and there was definitely an angelic presence, I think, to like acclimating me there. But I was really depressed. And so my parents would fly me back to Arizona. Like once a month, my mom and I would go back to Arizona because they didn't know what to do. And like those were the people that knew my brother and knew the situation. And so I'm very grateful that they did that for me, because I think that helped my healing process, like gave me a healing process. And then eventually my mom moved me back to Arizona while my dad stayed in Pittsburgh by himself. And we got an apartment in Arizona. We had a house in Pittsburgh. And we were like double coasting it while I finished 3 years of high school. My parents did that. And I like look back at that moment and I'm so grateful for my parents. But that's something that I like regret how I wasn't as grateful in that moment of time as I am now. Realizing their sacrifice is like,
yeah. So you did freshman year in Pittsburgh and then the next 3 years in Arizona.
I did like half of my sophomore year in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And then the rest of it, and then finished out in Arizona.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's really challenging, and I so appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 14 is really young. Really young.
Yeah, definitely. It is crazy to think about. I shared with you last Thursday was my brother's birthday. And he would have turned 31. He died when he was 17. It's just like, whoa, time happens. It's been so long. It's been more than a decade. And it was still so fresh this birthday. I was like, oh, fuck. My cells remember. We're supposed to be sad.
Oh, my gosh. And, yeah, I mean, I just have so much respect for how you walk through the world, and how you carry yourself is amazing. Anyone that knows you is like, Brooke Burgstahler is fantastic. Like, your birthday, I meet the coolest people ever. Every time. I cannot wait for your birthday because you have these fascinating, spiritual, creative beings. And it's just truly, I mean, how you carry yourself is truly impressive. I really, really mean that.
I love you, Chelsea. Thank you.
Love you.
Also, I get really nervous around my birthday that I like don't have friends and who's going to show up. So
oh my
I really
gosh.
appreciate hearing that.
No,
Thank
Brooke
you.
has more friends than anyone I've ever met combined. That is
Wow. That's so cool.
But good to know that.
Thanks
you know,
for thinking that because it's not true.
Okay, a few more sad things.
Yeah, no, let's get sad.
And then we're gonna go back to less sad. Do you feel comfortable sharing what happened on his camping trip?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go in, honey.
Just because there are people out there that maybe have had a similar situation.
Yeah,
You know,
I think
don't know.
it's really funny, like how you connect with people over death, no matter who died. It's like there's just it's always nice to hear a story of someone else. So we were in Arizona. We lived in Arizona, and my brother was going camping with two of his friends, Nick and Donnie. They were going to a place called Blue Ridge Reservoir in Arizona. And yeah, just the three of them. It's like an hour and a half away from where we lived. The story goes that they were camping on somewhat of a plateau. That's where the actual campground was. And then there was a ravine down at the bottom and like a steep slope to get down there. But not, we visited. Looks dangerous, but his death was a freak accident for sure. So he was walking down this steep hillside to get to the water with a tackle box in hand or something. Like maybe they were fishing. I'm like, he fished, but what? Didn't know that about him. But anyways, they were walking downhill and he tripped.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he tripped, and the way it was described to me is he like made huge air and like flipped through the sky and then hit his chest on a rock. And then I think hit his head as well, and then fell into the water. So he got fucked up before he fell into the water. And as a result of how he had hit his chest, he was knocked unconscious. His body just sucked in a bunch of water really quickly, and he fell to the bottom. Like he sank with ferocity. It seems like. I don't know if the boys they were with, we did an autopsy. There was supposedly no like drugs or alcohol in his system. Kind of sounds to me like, was he drunk? Or it's just totally not to, I'm honoring your spirit, of course, Taylor, every step of the way. But like, it's something I've always been curious about. Just the nature of how much of a freak accident that is. Like how many things had to happen for him to die in that way, right? To be like hit on the chest, so that you take in water, to be hit on the head, so you're knocked unconscious. Like he knew how to swim when he was conscious. So yeah, so basically the boys tried to find him, I guess. They like jumped in the water. Someone went to go get a firefighter. They were like looking for him, couldn't find his body, which is crazy. And so then this shit's insane. So I remember being at my friend Melissa's house. I'm a freshman in high school. I'm about to be moving away, so it's like one of my last times with my friends. I remember being on a beanbag chair with the boy that I liked at the time, and I was like, oh my God, summer's almost over and I'm moving away, but like I love Brayden.
Wait, was his name really Brayden?
Brayden.
That's
such a high school name.
Amazing. That's a hot boy name.
Brayden Dennis. He was hot. I don't know what he's up to anymore, but hey, Brayden, if you hear this, I liked you in high school.
You're hot, Brayden.
You're hot.
Take it off. Okay, that was weird.
So I remember being there, and then my friend Melissa's mom, because we're in high school and it's all supervised hangs, she gets a call. She's like, Brooke, something's up. You need to call your mom. I call my mom. My mom's just like freaking out on the phone, which is not anything that new. So I was like, something's wrong, but what is it? And then she was just like, come home. I just need you to come home. I can't tell you, come home. And so Melissa's mom and Melissa get in the car. I think there's like still kids at the house. They drive me back to my house. And the whole time they're like, maybe your house is on fire. Maybe the dog died. Like maybe someone got in a car crash. Like everything's fine. And as we're driving there, it's like, no, like something really bad is happening. Something really, really bad is happening. I feel it. Also, my mom was like freaking out. But and then when we get to the house, my mom is just in total panic. A sheriff from Blue Ridge, where my brother's body was, and they had driven down to my mom to let her know what had happened, that his body was missing. And I don't remember exactly what happened next, but I will say shit is so fascinating because this isn't necessarily a good thing. It's just magic. That my mom was napping before the sheriff came to knock on her door. And when she was napping, earlier in the day, she told my dad she had a feeling of impending doom, which is like really strong words.
Very specific.
Very specific. But my dad remembers that too. Impending doom. Anyway, she takes a nap. She wakes up to the nap to the sheriff. During her nap, she had a dream that my brother had come to her and was on the phone with her, freaking out, asking her how to do CPR. Please teach me CPR. I need CPR. Like, I don't know how to do it. And my mom woke up like, fuck, what's going on? To a knock on the door to the sheriff saying, like, your son drowned.
That's really...
Yeah, it's cool.
There you go. I wasn't sure where to go with it, but let's go with cool. That's cool.
Yeah, psychic shit
Divine.
runs in my family a little bit, and I attribute it to that. But also, like, that's just what happens. People die and they come to visit you. So yeah.
Wow.
My brother's body was missing for 2 days, so we couldn't find his body, which was like also really hard to accept that he was dead. I remember thinking like, well, maybe he fell into the water and he swam to the other side and he climbed up the other side of the hill and he ran into the forest and he ran away and he wants to go live a wild life in the jungle and like this was his escape.
That accent was incredible, by the
Wow,
way.
thank you. I don't really know where it was from, but
I like it.
But yeah, my dad, he was living in Pittsburgh at the time, and this is like these are the things that really hurt to reflect on, that you push into the back of your mind. But like my dad getting a phone call from my frantic mother that their son was dead and he's in Pittsburgh and has to get on a plane by himself in the middle of the night and fly for 4 hours and go through an airport experience. Like, yeah, that's really so sad. So sad. These are where the tears come in, you guys. I hope everyone listening cries. Cry with me.
They probably, I mean, they are. Oh my God. I so appreciate you sharing that.
But yeah, shit can get so heavy. The human experience is so heavy. I hope that I like to think that I've gone through like my crock of shit for this lifetime, but I'm sure it's only half of it.
What's next, everybody?
Yeah, I'm protected now, right? Like I went through my bad life experience and nothing can touch me now. Just kidding.
What advice would you have for someone who's in high school right now that has recently lost a sibling?
You know, I heard this. I did a doc series on people serving life sentences for weed,
which we're totally going to go into,
yeah,
by the way.
I mean, but whatever. And one of the guys that I was able to speak with, he had been in prison for 30, 40 years, like half of his life. He was an old man when he got out. Weed charges, a lot of weed. But anyways, he said when he went into jail, he made a decision that he was either going to be beast or he was going to be better. I
love that.
I love that line so much. And I think of that a lot when it comes to really difficult life experiences, that like a path has been created in front of you, and you can go one way or the other. You can be ruined by it and crushed by it and go into a dark place with it, or you can be inspired by it and enlightened by it and choose to work with it. It's basically by accepting it, I think. Not that I necessarily, I accept the experience because it happened to me. I wouldn't have chosen it, but
Fair.
So it goes. But my high school is really big, so I actually did know 2 other girls. I knew a few other people who had lost siblings at my high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right when my brother passed, one of the girls came over to my house, and it was like, I can't believe I knew this about you. I knew that your brother had passed, and now I can relate to you in a way that's like, sisters, I understand you. It was immediate. But I have seen people, especially in high school, where there's a lot of partying and a lot of drugs and experimenting and just your wild side gets expressed no matter what you're going through. Puberty makes you go crazy, but to try not to allow death to be an excuse to ignore the future that will be better, I guess. I've seen people fall to alcohol or to drugs or to reckless sex or getting lots of tattoos and being unhealthy and whatnot. I'm fortunate that for whatever reason, for the first things that happened to me after he passed, that instead I was okay, allow this to open up a new world, a new perspective. Now I have a new relationship with my brother, and I think that's allowed me to navigate. Feels like, everything happens in cycles, but for a while it allowed me to navigate life from just a more wise perspective. Just allowing a lot more to fall to the wayside, trying not to get bogged down by so much because nothing matters, because we're all gonna die. But it's cool because dying is just a scary word that we've attached to it, but really it's you could apply a way more fun word to it. You're gonna elevate, you're gonna transport somewhere else.
I like that. A positive spin. Elevation. It's really just elevation, guys. It's really just elevation.
You're just dissolving your skin and you're upgrading to new iOS.
You're just flying and upgrading. This sounds like a weird airlines deal that
I
didn't expect. I love that so much.
Sponsored.
Okay, because there are people listening that sometimes, they might not know someone else I would say it's pretty common to not know someone else.
Yeah.
So maybe right now you could really be that person to someone else. I truly mean that.
Thank you. The microphone looks like your nose right now, and it's amazing.
Oh, good.
I was speaking with my friend the other day who had lost her mom a few years ago to cancer, and it was so funny how quickly we were able to go so deep about the circumstances around both of our death-related experiences, and how it is just easier with someone who has had someone who's passed to go there and almost maybe not get as emotional, because it is more matter of fact. You don't have to protect your story or make sure the other person feels comfortable with your loss. Oh no, I don't want to make you sad about the death of my brother. I don't want to tell you the full story. But it's definitely disappointing to me. It's just all part of the weird matrix that we're living in and what limits humans in our consciousness. But to not speak about death is, it's so absurd. And I don't know when we will grow more comfortable with that conversation. It seems it's got to be soon.
Taking a quick break here to pop in and let you know about something groovy. There's an organization called the Breasties that is hosting free retreats for survivors, previvors, and those affected by breast cancer. Like, literally, that's all I have to say. There is free wellness retreats for breast cancer survivors, people currently going through breast cancer, people who have survived breast cancer, people who have previved breast cancer, which means having a BRCA mutation, which I know you know all about because you listened to Tuesday's episode. No shade if you didn't. More BRCA information coming to you soon. There's one this year in Texas. There's one in Colorado. There's 2 in Canada. Applications close on February 1st. If you or someone you know has been affected by breast cancer and is looking for free wellness retreat with other really cool people in the community, this opportunity is for you. I've spoken to the Breasties founders on the phone. I can vouch they are with it, yo. God, why have I like burped or sneezed in every episode? I'm just going to leave them in because that's how we do at Dying of Laughter. We keep it real and we burp in our rooms and we just own that shit. But I can't even believe it. It's free. Applications are due February 1st. What are you waiting for?
You know, as the world continues to wake up, it's got to be acknowledged that this is part of our life cycle. And there's so many beautiful cultures that revere death in a really way more interesting way than just like, oh God, it's scary and sticky. Put it in a box in the ground. Like, let's not talk about it except on the day that the person died.
If even then. If even then. Yeah.
But I visited Japan with my mom. And there's temples everywhere. Like, people would just like walk to work and then just like scoop into a temple on the way. And in a lot of the temples, there's these really cute stone statues carved to look like small children with red bibs. And that's for children who've died.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's just like super normalized. It's just around. It's like part of the conversation and not part of the conversation by just being there. And my mom was, of course, obsessed with these statues and was like, take a picture of me with them. And I'm like, this is kind of creepy, but okay.
It's like your mom's dream photo shoot gone wrong / gone totally right. She found her place in the photo shoot world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I went to Hawaii and there are these people I'm really interested in. I hope to make a death documentary one day. That's been on my mind a lot lately. And
that would be amazing.
It'd be so cool. There's obviously so much ground to cover, but some of the more interesting people I've met were in Hawaii and Maui. I forget the guy's name, but it was called Journey into Light, I think. And he did death doula certifications.
What is that?
Yeah. So like you or I could be trained to be a death doula, to be there with someone or someone's family when they have someone who's passing, to make the experience easier for the family, to explain things to them, to sit with the person while they're dying, to really like hold space, as cliche as that is, but also when the person has passed, having the experience of, what is it called? Embalming the body. Mm-hmm. Washing the body and embalming it and choosing to cremate it or bury it, whatever it is. But like being there with the body of the person who's passed as yourself. You know, like we like handed my brother's body off to someone and they were like burn it, would you? Like we didn't go through that process. And in some cultures, they do. I think having that connection till the end is like critical, I guess. I don't have a word for that, but really beautiful to me. That's really beautiful.
I really hear that. And it's fascinating that other cultures' perspective on death is very different than the American culture. And like you're saying, talking about it is very uncomfortable for many people and very just taboo. So I'm glad we're doing it now.
Yay!
We're slowly chipping away. And I will never forget this. You were my first friend who had lost someone, because when we met, my dad had died a few years ago. I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. And it was something it was still raw. I was still going with. And I didn't have any super close friends who had experienced something similar to me recently. There was a couple people I know that it had been a long time ago. And there was actually, I did one friend, but it's not something that's ever talked about. And you were the first friend, I should say, who was open. And you were like, hey, I'm Brooke. Oh my gosh, we bonded over XYZ. my brother died. I'm sorry your dad died. This sucks. This is crazy. Me too. All of that. And it was like funny and upbeat, and you laughed about it, and you were open. And I will just never forget carpooling with you to the Valley from Hollywood to our comedy classes. And then you would just like slip in a little death moment of like, well, I was doing this spiritual thing the other day because I was thinking about it all and death and life and crazy. And it really, really helped me in my own journey. I will truly never forget it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean,
I feel like I've always been able to talk to you about very weird shit. And it's
fair.
and it actually is more rare than one would suspect, even despite like all the woo-woo new age bullshit in LA that I'm like very much a part of. Even I recognize like but y'all don't want to go to like the real shit. Y'all want to go to yoga, but y'all don't want to go to the real stuff. But I mean, you are so special, Chelsea, and Lloyd would be so proud. And I did think on the way over here, I was like, all right, Lloyd, Taylor, like we're going to be doing this podcast. Come be there with us. And yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but thank you for always being a safe space for me to talk about this. And I think that this is a huge particle of the work that you are supposed to do here on earth, because you do it with such ease and grace, but also with like passion and just a really strong energy that I think will attract people and allow them to really like learn and soften from you. So
well, thanks, Brooke. That
Yeah.
was such a nice thing to say. You're so well spoken.
I was closing my eyes while
I
saying
know
this.
it was very. If you guys, that was very powerful and deep. I was like, what's happening? I love this so much. You know, you're amazing. What was it? Wait, there was one more thing I was gonna say. And what did oh my gosh, this cracks me up so much because I go by Chelsea London Lloyd. Lloyd was my dad's name, and I changed it. And I remember you, for a long time, / still do, used to call me and still call me Lloyd. And I remember I felt really awkward because one day I was like, maybe I should just tell her. This was a long time ago. I was like, maybe I should just tell her, like, oh, that's my dad's name. I don't want to make her uncomfortable. I was like, just so you know, my dad's name was actually Lloyd. And you're like, oh, great. I love that, Lloyd. You know, still calling me Lloyd. You're like, yes, Lloyd. I love it. You and your daddy, Lloyd. Realness. Chelsea, Lloyd. Hey, Lloyd. And you still call me Lloyd. And it was just, I was like, okay, great. I thought it might be awkward. It wasn't awkward at all.
Sorry if I was insensitive. You're like,
no.
How do I get her to stop?
No.
And I'm like, I'm going to go harder.
No. I love it so much. I always look forward to you calling me Lloyd. You call me Lloyd, and then I look back. I'm like, oh, is a 65-year-old paralyzed man behind me? Oh, no, it's just me. It's
Chelsea
just
London
me.
Lloyd is such a good name, though. I mean, and to have that vibration of the name of your dad attached to you, I feel like it's just like you've enforced the angelic presence. You're like, Dad, actually, I'm gonna need you with me through all of it. So. But I did do something.
Thanks, babe.
I have a new theory, like that goes along with saying your dad's name and saying Taylor's name.
Okay.
That when someone tells me they've had someone who's passed in their life, I ask them, what's that person's name? Like, my grandpa just passed away. Someone told me their grandpa passed away. Someone just told me their mom passed away. And I was like, what was her name?
Mm-hmm.
And that always makes people like pause, and then they get to say the person's name, and I say the name, and I don't think about it for too long, but I like introduce my brother to the person who's passed. And I'm like, Taylor, like if you need a friend, like if you can help, I'm sure they have their own guides and their own ancestors and their own like spirits that they're going to help them through this. But like maybe you guys can meet up there. And like I try to do my part in the energetic realm and also just like really acknowledge the vibration of the name of someone who's passed.
Can we do it right now?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wait, I just got really excited. Okay, what do we do? How does it work?
Oh, no, that's it. Okay. No, that's all it is. What's your dad's first and last name?
Lloyd Simrat.
Lloyd Simrat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Lloyd Simrat, Taylor Burgstahler. Aloha, you guys. hello. Lloyd Simrot, meet Taylor Burgstahler. Taylor Burgstahler, meet Lloyd. You guys might be busy right now, like hopping dimensions and like, solving shit behind the scenes. Really no idea what your experience is like. But if you should at some moment in space and time as you know it, be able to meet up, link up, create, an energetic bond. May our soul families grow in towards one another. And yeah, may you be both of our angels. Thank you.
That was really cool. What if my dad and your brother know each other? We're getting real woo-woo now. It's okay.
Maybe they do.
And I always say, I'm not woo-woo, but I'm a little bit, so I'm woo. So we can have a woo moment.
That's so cute. That's really good.
Maybe did Taylor, well, this is so cliche. I shouldn't ask if he played sports just because he's a guy. But,
no, totally played sports.
What were his sports of
was
choice?
Into music. Like
Okay.
maybe they'll jam. Maybe they'll play some basketball. He played basketball.
Okay, my dad played college basketball.
Wow.
So, wow.
Boys, grab a ball. Get in the court. They're like, we're fucking busy. Sometimes I think that too. Like, I think I have a weirder or like more deep spiritual experience when I'm by myself. That's really, like, it is very personal for me. But sharing it is still really cool. But sometimes I talk to Taylor or I talk to my guides and I have like a long list of dead people in my life, like some people that I don't even know that well. So like I just invite them into my list of prayers. And sometimes I worry, like a kid from my high school just passed away. And I included him in my, like, Taylor, Grandma, Peter, Wade, Ashley, Brandon, Dino, Devon, Mr. Comedic, Senior, Jill, Rose, all my ancestors, spirit guides, higher self, inner self. Will you please be with me today? Will you guide me through my life experience? Will you show me the way? And then I, like, added in this kid, Dylan Jones, to the end. And hi, Dylan. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I didn't know him that well in high school. And, like, maybe, like, can I include him in my prayer? Like, what if I'm annoying his spirit somewhere? Like they get a little ding whenever someone says their name on earth and he's like, fucking, like, I didn't even know this Brooke chick. Why does she keep praying to me? Or not praying to them, but like honoring their spirit and yeah, basically calling in guidance, like from wherever the fuck I can get help on this side or the other, I'm asking for it. Like, please help me.
Life's hard enough. We got to go to other dimensions sometimes.
Yeah.
That's really cool that you do that.
Except I've spoken to a medium once who was like, no, the dead fucking love when you talk to them.
Oh, they do? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
They love it because they're also not operating on the same space and time as we know. So sometimes I think when I'm like deeply praying to my brother, like, oh my God, I'm stuck in LA traffic. Like, I need a sign. And it doesn't happen and I'm all curmudgeon-y. Then like the next day I'll see like 5 of the cars that he used to drive before he passed. And I'm like, oh, you like got the message a little late, huh? You're like not operating in the same way, but.
That is amazing. How would you describe your work experiences connected to what you've been through? You're very active. You're an activist. Can you tell us just a little bit about that and how this connects to this part of you, if at all?
Yeah. I had a realization the other day. I'm an actress. I'm not always acting. And I know that you have the same experience that it's like, it's such a yearning. It's like a yearning for the opportunity to express. And I was trying to figure out what is it that why do I love acting? Like, why? If I'm really honest with myself, what do I want to do with my life? I want to act. Why is that? And I think it's being able to feel, like not having an excuse, being able to rip open your emotions and your feelings and be raw and vulnerable and be all of those things without fear because you're stepping into someone else's words or someone else's character or you're part of a bigger project or creative output. So you can put your inhibitions of expressing those feelings to the wayside and just really fucking cry, scream, laugh, like just be. And I think as women, and I know I hear it too from even my own partner sometimes, like you have so many feelings, you have so many emotions, you have so much. And I've been told you feel too much, and that means don't feel as much. And I want to keep feeling. You cannot ever listen to someone saying you feel too much. If you feel sad all the time, then like, yes, fucking investigate into that. But if you're just like rich with a lot of different colors and it's high highs and low lows and everything in between, fuck it, you're doing fine. Everyone, I think everyone, especially women, are experiencing so many feelings. We just like try to compartmentalize and put it aside. And I also work a lot in cannabis, and cannabis, she has helped me deeply heal, helped me to
clarify, the she is cannabis.
Yeah, she.
Okay.
Santa Maria, Mary Jane herself.
This is why I love you
The cannabis
so much.
sativa. Yes, she is personified as a female. She's a female plant. What we smoke is a female plant. There are genders. Cannabis has genders, male and female, and the female is where we gain our flower from that people smoke.
Okay, this is going to have to be part B, a whole other hour just dedicated because I'm
Weed. I'm a weed girl. Cannabis is healing in so many ways for people in so many different ways. And for me, she has allowed me to soften. She has calmed me down. She has soothed me so many times. And I am a cannabis reporter and activist and advocate and create cannabis content. It kind of feels like the plant asked me to do it. And truly, for whatever reason. So, yeah, I just want the world to be better. I want people to have a better and easier experience, and I want all of the tools that could make the experience easier and better and nicer to be available to people. I don't want that to be restricted in any way. And it doesn't end at cannabis. Like, bring on the mushrooms, bring on the ayahuasca. Like, let's legalize it all. Let's legalize a whole hell of a lot of things. Let's put meditation in high school. Let's open up free yoga to the entire world. Let Congress do yoga.
Brooke, I love you. See, Brooke is like the one that like is full woo-woo, and I'm, like I said, I'm a little, but you're like how I learn about the woo-woo-ness, and I'm actually really upset that we didn't. I swear we're gonna do a part B at some point.
Okay, great.
I can't wait to go there. Is there a podcast, book, or film that you recommend to others that has helped your life in some way?
Yes. The first thing that comes to mind is The Untethered Soul. It is a book by Michael A. Singer, and it is maybe like 150 pages, super easy read, and it is not spiritual. In essence, he is speaking about how to gain control of your mind, gain awareness of how the mind operates, and how much you're thinking, first of all, and then how much of your thinking is just automatic. It's just like something else is kind of providing the screenplay of your thoughts for you. And just by, elevating your awareness, how you can work that to your advantage.
Great.
Your thoughts create your reality. Make your own life.
I love it. Thank you for that recommendation.
Yeah. Have you read that book?
I have not.
Oh, totally read it. And it's not woo-woo.
Where can people find you and your documentary on social media?
Oh, yeah. So you can find me. I really only use Instagram at Brooke Burgstahler. Brooke has an E at the end of it. I'm Brooke Burgstahler, though. I think that's clever.
I love that.
And yeah, I have a website, brookeburgstahler.com. You can find the documentary that I worked on with Mary Jane, Prisoners of Prohibition, on their YouTube channel. Just look up Prisoners of Prohibition. There's 4 episodes. It's about an hour of your time. It's #SadWeed, but people are serving life sentences and just sentences in general for nonviolent cannabis-related crimes. It's absurd, it's racist, and it needs to be stopped. So watch the doc, buy the weed, support good businesses, and be as conscious as you can be.
And talk to dead people.
And talk to dead people.
Yay!
I don't see dead people, but I love them.
Oh, Brooke, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chelsea.
I feel
love
sad,
you.
but I feel happy. Why
are you sad?
No, I just like it's meaningful.
You're talking about sad stuff.
It's really meaningful to me that you came, and I'm very happy we got to talk a little bit more about Taylor.
You're a fucking powerhouse, and you're going to make waves with everything that you do, and this is just...
Oh, wow.
This is just one wave.
I was going to stop, but we could keep going.
Do you want me to keep going?
No.
Complimenting? I've got more Ego biscuits. I fresh baked.
Ego biscuits!
I like to say that.
Wow.
Yeah, you can get full, though. Be careful. You can get really full from them.
Bloopers, 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 bloopers.
That's kind of what it boils down to.
And you are such a spiritual person. You
Oh my
do
God,
yoga.
I'm like so spiritual.
Okay, well,
I'm like basically enlightened. So what am I doing here? I have to go.
You're like, I'm too spiritual for this moment.
I'm too spiritual for these shoes. Again, they've got to go. She's like an estranged aunt. I'm like not really supposed to talk to her. But like my mom, it's very confusing. My mom got mad at me once that I friended my aunt on Facebook and was like, "You can't be friends with her." And I was like. Okay, I definitely don't care enough about Facebook. I'll unfriend my aunt. This is weird.
I consider myself like a centered, confident person, but for some reason, often in your presence, like I immediately become Katie Heron and you become Regina George. Like it's just you just radiate.
Oh no, I don't want to be Regina George.
No, but like a nice Regina.
Although I love Regina McKenna. So.
Yeah, I
A
love
nicer
that.
Regina.
Or if you're a host and an activist, are you a hacktivist?
Oh, that one's less exciting, but
Yeah, I don't think that really worked.
Intro and outro music is by Liz Full. The cover art is designed by Austin Ray, and the photography is by Naomi Christie. Produced and edited by your girl. That's right, it's an all-female team. Yodo, you only die once.